Greetings, explorers of the shadows and seekers of hidden truths. You, who dares to cross the boundaries of the known, now find yourself at the portal of the unknown, where the echoes of the past not only reverberate through the air, but also shape the realities of the present. Here, the lost and forgotten words are unearthed, revealing mysteries that have been carefully guarded for centuries. This is a place where the mind breaks free from the shackles of the superficial, and vision is expanded to contemplate the hidden truths that are often not seen by the physical eyes, but deeply felt by the soul. And it is in this place of revelation and mystery that we meet to examine the text that few have dared to explore, the Gospel of Thomas. This gospel, kept in the shadows of time, resonates like a lost whisper, a silent voice that crosses the veils of forgetfulness. It does not align with the traditional Gospels, those that narrate dazzling miracles, extraordinary life events, and heroic deeds of Christ. Instead, the Gospel of Thomas challenges us to look within, to seek answers that are not found in the outer world, but in the deepest essence of the human being. There are no stories of resurrections, loaves of bread multiplied, or miraculous healings here, but instead a sincere and direct invitation to inner discovery and personal revelation. Instead of pointing to a distant kingdom, a celestial paradise beyond the stars, Thomas reveals something far more radical. The kingdom of heaven is not in some far-off or unreachable place. It is within us, waiting patiently to be recognized and accessed. The Gospel of Thomas is not merely a record of teachings, but is, in truth, a call to introspection, to the pursuit of self-knowledge, and to the journey that each of us must undertake to gain a deeper understanding of who we truly are and the greater purpose that permeates our lives. Unlike the traditional scriptures, which often focus on the outward actions and words of Christ, Thomas invites us to explore the inner nature of our own existence, to discover the spiritual power that resides within us, and to unlock the key that only our own search can reveal. In verse 3 of the Gospel of Thomas, we read, "If those who guide you say, 'The kingdom is in the sky,' then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say, 'It is in the sea,' then the fish will precede you. But the kingdom is within you and outside of you." These words resonate with a depth that transcends time and immediate understanding. Thomas challenges us not to seek a kingdom that is distant, out of reach, as if it were somewhere beyond the bounds of the earth or the sky. He subtly and powerfully warns that those who guide us away from ourselves, by pointing to the heavens or the seas as the places where the kingdom is found, are leading us down an empty path. The birds and the fish, creatures of the sky and sea, have already preceded those who try to show us the kingdom in external places. These images are, in fact, metaphors inviting us to look within, to realize that the kingdom is not in some distant or unattainable place, but is with us all the time, waiting to be discovered. These words also powerfully resonate with what is written in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 17, verse 21, when Jesus declares, "For the kingdom of God is within you." Here we see a clear and meaningful correlation between Thomas's teaching and the message conveyed by Jesus in Luke. Both texts indicate that the true understanding and realization of the kingdom of heaven is not something to be found in a place outside of us, but something that is revealed in our own consciousness, in our own inner experience. The kingdom is not a promise of a distant paradise that will only be attained after death or at some uncertain future moment. It is a present reality, accessible now, and rooted within each of us. This understanding places the responsibility in our hands as we are the guardians of the kingdom that lies within us, waiting to be discovered, lived, and manifested. Thus, the teachings of Thomas and Luke converge, offering a transformative view of spirituality that does not rely on intermediaries or external quests, but on a return to our own being. But what does this really mean? Is salvation not a reward to be earned in the future, but rather a revelation that needs to be awakened right now? The Gospel of Thomas challenges us, urging us to abandon conventional ideas of a distant kingdom and a future salvation that depends on our adherence to external dogmas or rituals. It invites us to look within, to see beyond the surface of everyday life and the illusions we've constructed over the centuries, and by doing so, to find something that's actually been present all along but forgotten by humanity, the divine spark within each of us. By inviting us to look inward, Thomas reminds us that salvation is not a future event, a promise to be fulfilled at some distant point, but a reality that must be awakened now, in the here and now. It challenges us to break free from the chains of illusions that keep us bound to the incessant search for something outside of ourselves, as though happiness, peace, and spirituality are found in a distant place or something we need to attain. The Gospel of Thomas points to a deeper truth. True salvation is not attained through external actions or a journey that takes us away from ourselves, but, on the contrary, it arises when we recognize the divine that is already within us, waiting to be seen, acknowledged, and lived. This call to introspection is not simple or easy. It requires the courage to abandon false beliefs that have been imposed upon us by society, religion, and structures of power. It demands the willingness to confront the fears and insecurities that make us doubt our own divine nature. But when we do this, when we challenge the limitations set by the conventional worldview, we begin to realize that the divine spark is not a distant metaphor or an abstract concept, but a real and tangible presence pulsing within us, waiting for the moment when we choose to awaken to it. The Gospel of Thomas is not just an ancient text, but an urgent invitation to a radical transformation of perception, an invitation to stop searching for something outside of ourselves and instead dive into the depths of our being, where true revelation awaits. By awakening to this inner reality, we can finally experience salvation, which is not a one-time event in the future, but a continuous experience of transformation and discovery that takes place in the present moment. This call to illumination finds resonance in other ancient texts that, like the Gospel of Thomas, reveal a profound view of salvation and spiritual transformation. The Book of Jubilees, for example, teaches us that time was established by God as cycles of learning and purification. Each cycle, each period of time, is an opportunity for humanity to spiritually evolve, a continuous journey of growth and self-awareness. It is not a linear process, but a series of steps that allow us over time to awaken to a deeper understanding of the divine and of ourselves. Therefore, the Book of Jubilees presents the view that every moment in our lives carries a greater purpose, linked to the process of our own inner redemption, and that time is not something to simply be passed, but something to be lived with attention and awareness as part of a cosmic journey of transformation. Similarly, the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs also describes a spiritual transformation that precedes the final judgment. In this text, redemption is not merely an isolated event or a condition to be attained at the end of time, but a profound shift in consciousness that must occur within each of us before the moment of judgment. The Testament of the 12 Patriarchs reveals that true judgment is not something that happens only at the end of time, but an internal reality reflected in our own perception, choices, and daily actions. The spiritual transformation described in this text requires a change of heart, a renewal of the mind and soul that allows us to live in harmony with divine principles. Thus, redemption in this context is a constant experience, a transformation that is not just an expectation for the future, but a present reality that must be cultivated in everyday life. Both texts remind us that redemption and salvation are not merely tied to external rituals or dogmas, but to a profound shift in consciousness. They teach us that true purification occurs when we are able to look inward, to transform our beliefs, attitudes, and actions in a way that aligns us with the divine already residing within us. Redemption, therefore, is not an external reward, but an internal manifestation, a new way of perceiving reality, a clearer vision of what is true and sacred. The process of learning and purification is not something to be achieved only at the end of a journey, but the very essence of the spiritual journey, which leads us to a deeper understanding of our true nature and our role in the universe. The transformation described in both texts calls us to recognize that the divine is within us, waiting to be awakened, and that our true mission is to awaken to this internal reality, not to a distant kingdom, but to the kingdom that already resides within us. This perspective may seem strange to those who seek concrete and definitive answers, especially in an age where quick answers and absolute certainties are often valued. We live in a world where the search for clear and tangible explanations has become an obsession, and many of us are trained to believe that the truth must be found in literal words, in the doctrines and dogmas presented to us. However, what becomes increasingly evident as we explore ancient texts and esoteric teachings like those of the Gospel of Thomas, the Book of Jubilees, and the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs is that truth, in many cases, is not revealed in explicit words, but in the silences between them, in the gaps that at first glance seem empty, but in reality carry a deep and transformative wisdom. What if the true lost knowledge is not something that can be found in an objective and concrete way, but something revealed through silent perception, introspection, and connection with the timeless truths that transcend human language? Perhaps true wisdom is not something that can be perfectly articulated, something that is not limited to intellectual understanding, but exists in the deeper layers of human consciousness. What lies in the silences between the words, in the unfilled spaces, could be the key to understanding the divine and our true nature. These silences carry the potential for awakening, for a connection to a truth that goes beyond what can be said or explained. What if the lost knowledge we all seek is not something to be acquired from the outside, but something that is already within us, waiting to be remembered? Perhaps the thread that connects us to the original purpose of creation is a deeper and more intuitive understanding of who we truly are, why we are here, and how we relate to the cosmos and the divine. This knowledge is not found in books or words, but in direct experience and the perception of the truth that resurfaces when we are able to silence the mind and connect with what transcends the limitations of language and rational understanding. The idea that truth lies in the silences between words challenges us to rethink our approach to learning and knowledge. It invites us to go beyond the search for rational explanations and calls us to a more inward journey, where wisdom is not in definitive answers, but in the ability to listen to what cannot be said, to feel what cannot be seen, to understand what cannot be expressed in words. This is the true lost knowledge, the ability to reconnect with the divine that already resides within us, waiting to be remembered and recognized. When we finally allow ourselves to listen to the silences, we are able to perceive that knowledge is not something to be found, but something to be awakened, a revelation that connects us to the original purpose of creation, to the essence of who we are, and to the mystery of the universe. Throughout history, those who dared to seek this truth were persecuted, silenced, and often forgotten. Every era, every society has its own guardians of the status quo, those who fear profound changes and revelations that challenge established beliefs. Those who, in their intense desire to reach the truth, strayed from conventional views, faced repression from those who control knowledge and narratives. The burden of carrying a truth that is not accepted by the majority often leads to isolation, exile, and in some cases, death. Yet despite the continuous efforts to silence those who seek the truth, the seeds of wisdom sown by these courageous seekers did not vanish. On the contrary, they survived, echoing through generations and reaching those who are ready to listen. The teachings of Jesus, whether in the canonical Gospels or the apocryphal ones, continue to echo through time, challenging open minds and hearts willing to receive this profound truth. No matter how many times they have tried to bury or distort his words, the seeds of his wisdom have never stopped growing, feeding the souls of all those who seek something beyond the superficial. The words of Jesus, in their purest essence, are not confined to the historical context in which they were spoken, nor to the religious rituals that arose around them. They are timeless and transcend human interpretations, offering a truth that reflects in inner searching, personal transformation, and reconciliation with the divine. Even in apocryphal texts like the Gospel of Thomas, the words of Jesus resonate with remarkable power. Though these texts have been marginalized or rejected by official tradition, their teachings remain present, challenging religious and spiritual conventions. They invite us to explore a more intimate, direct, and personal spirituality, free from the interference of institutional dogma. What these texts offer is not a story of miracles or supernatural feats, but a series of teachings that speak directly to our daily experience, to our ability to perceive the divinity in our own lives, and to discover the kingdom within us. No matter how much they try to silence or marginalize the voices of masters and prophets throughout history, spiritual truth cannot be completely suppressed. The teachings of Jesus in all their forms and manifestations continue to call to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. They continue to echo like a soft melody that never loses its power to transform, awaken, and illuminate. Truth is not confined to a single book or tradition, but in words that cross the boundaries of time and space, always ready to be rediscovered by those willing to search beyond the surface and explore the depths of their own soul. If the kingdom is within us, why do so many still seek it outside? This is the question that reverberates in our consciousness throughout human history, a challenge that compels us to reconsider the way we seek and understand the divine. The truth is that even when we are taught that true fulfillment and salvation lie within us, we are constantly encouraged to look outside, to others, to institutions, and to external beliefs. Why does this happen? The answer may lie in our very human nature, which seeks security in the familiar and the known. The idea that the kingdom is already within us demands deep responsibility and a level of self-awareness that many of us fear or avoid. Seeking something outside of ourselves seems easier, safer, and less challenging than confronting the depths of our own soul. The promise that the kingdom lies somewhere distant or must be attained through intermediaries or external practices offers us an illusion of control, while the true journey requires courage and surrender. The kingdom within us does not only require faith, it demands an awakening to the deeper truth of who we are and our divine potential. And it is precisely this awakening that many of us hesitate to make. If enlightenment is an awakening, then what keeps us asleep? What prevents us from awakening to the reality that has always been right before us? The answer to this question is complex, as it involves a combination of cultural, psychological, and spiritual factors. From a very young age, we are conditioned by our societies to follow a predetermined path, to seek external answers, and to trust authorities who tell us what is true. We are taught to believe that enlightenment is something to be earned, something that can only be attained through extraordinary efforts or a divine revelation that comes from outside. This conditioning creates an invisible barrier that keeps us disconnected from our true nature. The fear of the unknown, the fear of questioning the norms and teachings we were given, and the attachment to external certainties and security all contribute to our spiritual slumber. Enlightenment, therefore, is not just an awakening, but a deconstruction of the old patterns of thought and belief that keep us trapped. It takes courage to question everything we've been taught, to look within and see the truth beyond the illusions we've built over the years. In the end, the greatest revelation may not lie in hidden scriptures, forgotten words, or lost texts, but in the courage to look within and question everything we've been taught. True knowledge is not just found on the pages of sacred books or in historical accounts, but in the direct experience of our own consciousness. Scriptures can guide us, but the true revelation comes when we stop searching for external answers and begin to look at our own life, our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. It is in the courage to question the beliefs and structures that shape our worldview that we find the path to true enlightenment. When we dare to look within and confront the shadows that inhabit our soul, we discover that the truth has always been there, waiting to be recognized. The greatest revelation, therefore, is not an external event, but an internal transformation, a shift in perspective that allows us to see the divine in everything and everyone, including ourselves. If you wish to continue this journey through forbidden knowledge and the forgotten secrets of faith, subscribe to the Portal of the Unknown. Here, we will explore the mysteries that have been hidden for centuries, challenging conventional narratives and seeking the truth that many prefer to ignore. The truth is closer than you think, concealed within the lines of scriptures, forgotten traditions, and ancient teachings that have been relegated to silence. But only those who dare to question what they have been taught, who look beyond appearances and venture into deep waters, can truly find it. The path to knowledge is not easy, and the journey is filled with challenges. Those who seek the truth often face resistance, whether from external structures or from their own inner doubts. However, it is this tireless search this willingness to question and explore that opens the doors to true revelation. The portal of the unknown is more than just a learning channel. It is an invitation for those who are ready to look beyond conventions, to go deeper than the surface of reality, and to dive into the depths of spiritual wisdom that is hidden in plain sight. If you are ready to continue this journey of discovery, if you are willing to challenge your own beliefs and embrace the unknown, subscribe now. The truth awaits you, and the only thing you need to do is take the first step with courage and determination. The portal of the unknown is here to guide you, to help you unlock the mysteries that have been kept away from the eyes of the public. Only those who dare to question and seek without fear are the ones who will truly find what they are looking for. So, prepare for a new beginning, a new journey in search of a truth that transcends the limitations of the material world.